What do you think about the prison system?
Prison system at some point is pretty good because it keeping bad people inside the building, and they teach them the good thing, the bad thing. So when after they expire the justice, they can come back to the society and be a better people.
But do you think that when they go to the society, they go out from prisons, do you think that they sometimes are refused by the society?
Yeah, it's happened
to get a job, to get a girlfriend.
Yeah, like when they apply for a job, in every job they always check the criminal background. And I read a book before, they talk about it. It's a real case that guy get back from the prison, and he tried to be a better person for society, but the society sometimes it just didn't accept him to get back to society, and that's the bad part of the prison. But sometimes people have to pay off for what they did before.
If you would have to give a job to a person who has been in prison, would you consider that?
I can give, if like I'm an employer, I can give for that person a chance, and but of course I have to have even my eye or somebody eye on him or on her to make sure that they 100% change. Or if they have some sign that they still bad people, I have to refuse it because I have no choice.
I think folks who do go to prison can be rehabilitated, but it's the matter of after they've gone to prison, where do they go afterwards? So if a person becomes rehabilitated but then gets sent back into the same situation in which they were in before they went to prison, I think the odds for that individual to become truly rehabilitated diminish greatly. So I think the opportunity for rehabilitation is there, but I don't know how successful the prison system is in regards to properly rehabilitating.
Do you think that a person when leaves the prison is going to have problems, is going to be refused by the society to get a job, to get a husband or a wife?
I think there's some challenges if the person who's gone to prison comes out and is truly honest and forthright with everybody they come across. I definitely think that it is a challenge to find employment if they're honest, because corporations and employers are going to do their background checks, and if you have two candidates, one in which they're both equally qualified, well, I think people are going to tend to take somebody who hasn't been in trouble with the law or hasn't served time. Is that fair? Well, not necessarily, but I think at the same point in time, each corporation has their own, or each business is going to have to protect possibly their customers, their staff.
Would you give a job to a person who has been in prison?
Well, I think if they're qualified, they're definitely in the same pool.
But if you have a person who has not been in prison and another who has been, who would you take?
I think it goes back to, you have to look at what can this person offer my organization, my company, my business.
Do you think that a person really gets rehabilitated when he or she goes to the prison?
Probably not. It's possible that can happen, and I'm sure some people do get rehabilitated, but most don't. The whole way that we go about punishing behaviors is totally inconsistent with what the science of psychology knows about how punishment works. It's too long delayed. The person really is not removed from a bad environment. The prisons, they're overcrowded. There are rehabilitation services, but they're relatively limited. And the prisons themselves, at least for some people, can be breeding grounds where they become more criminal. So rather than being rehabilitated, they're disabilitated.
Right, so. I think you're right. And tell us, do you think that when those people leave the prisons, do you think that they have problems to get a job, to refusement from society?
Well, yes, they do. Having a prison record Whenever you go to apply for a job, that's one of the questions that you're asked.
It doesn't help very much.
And depending on well, in some places, once you say yes, I have a prison record, that's the end, and they're not going to hire you. But some places might want to know more about the nature of that prison record. If it was drug related and you're applying in some place where they consider themselves a drug-free environment, they're going to be hesitant to hire you. If it had to do with theft or something like that, they're going to be reluctant to hire you at a bank or some other financial institution. But I think more than that, I think while this is certainly a generalization, I think among the prison population, the vast majority of them probably have relatively poor work histories, haven't really been taught how to get a job, how to maintain a job. They may have limited job skills. And while, again, there may be some opportunities in prison to learn job skills, I think they're relatively limited.
Would you give a job to a person who has who has criminal records?
I certainly would consider one of my best friends spent time in jail. So I have no problem with him, and in fact, I hired him to build an addition on my house, and he did a wonderful job. And I worked right next to him the whole time. He's somebody that I have a tremendous amount of respect for. And also, he's one of the lucky ones. He was fairly well educated by the time he went in. When he went into prison, he had already a number of skills around the construction area. And so when he finished his time in jail and came out, he came back to a job that he was already ready, prepared to do, and there was a job open for him.
Good. And do you think that your friend felt a bit refused by friends? Maybe you know, but from other people?
I don't think so. I've met him since he's come out of prison, and so I don't know what happened immediately when he left prison. I know that he's not ashamed to tell people that he's been in prison, and while that may occasionally have led to some type of rejection by an individual, I think his overall experience has been very positive.